As I travel with Media Alliance International to different parts of the world, one thing I often notice during church services and visual presentations is that our ministry partners are using a variety of tools and switching back and forth between these applications. For instance, a church might be using one software for worship lyrics, another software for program notes, maybe one for the sermon, and another program to play video, and maybe even a different program to broadcast. While this is a workable option, it can also be distracting, taking people out of the moment and bringing unnecessary attention to the software. Fortunately, there's a software that can be used in studio and live production environments to provide a more seamless and fluid process. And once it's configured correctly, the software is very user-friendly and can be easily operated by volunteers. My favorite solution, and one that's already used by many churches in the United States, is ProPresenter. ProPresenter can be used to combine different media elements such as song lyrics, countdowns, video playback, lower thirds, and PowerPoint slides together into one continuous timeline. You can even easily add animations, backgrounds, custom video playback, and transitions so that everything flows together. At Media Alliance, we recently celebrated 10 years of ministry with a special dinner event. I'll use this as an example to show how we were able to bring various media elements together for our event. Here in ProPresenter, the items on the left at the top represent different presentations, and underneath that, you can see the overall flow of the event. In the center are all the individual components of the presentation. On the right is a display of what is being sent out of ProPresenter. Let's look back at the dinner event presentation I put together. Everything begins with a background image and a countdown till the beginning of our event. There are different types of timers that are available. I used a timer that counted down to a particular start time, and I linked this to a text box added to the slide. As you can see, this is completely customizable to include different fonts, sizes, and time components. When I'm ready for the countdown to begin, I press play, and you can see that the countdown is now live on the screen. Part of what makes ProPresenter such a powerful software is that elements can be edited when they're not live. So rather than showing the timer and then going live with it, I could show just this slide with a background, start the timer, and then go to the slide with the timer. I could also copy the slide with the background and add it here. It's also worth mentioning that ProPresenter allows for multiple layers on each slide so that media elements can be stacked together. The layers in use on each slide are represented by the red buttons on the right. Elements can be removed on the fly by clicking them here, so I could remove the countdown clock just as easily here. Or I could remove the background. Scattered throughout this presentation are several different pieces that I cut from one video that I made to create visual interest in the background. And here's the first one. Since this slide is an export of the first frame of the video, these flow smoothly together. Next, I cut to an animated name key. This key is made completely in ProPresenter by adding build animations to different components. I'll click on Edit to show you how I built out this animation. Each of the components has a built-in transition and is set to a time. I've set each of these to automatically occur when the slide is fired. For the subsequent titles, I just copied this one and then changed out the text. Since the background stays the same for each of these, I chose not to include the background in these 3 copies. But it would have worked just as well if I had left the background there. Next, there's another still image of the event graphic that showed while people were eating. To conclude this time, I showed a short video of Media Alliance's international partners. For the sake of time, I'll move the video forward using this playback section on the right. At the end of this video, I added a transition with a logo animation that I built in After Effects. That way, as each video ends, it takes us back to the same look, and things feel cohesive. In this next section, I again use a piece of video to create some interest on screen as I would be walking up on stage. During this time, I introduced the small change we're implementing to the name and logo of our ministry. Each of these is either text or transparent graphics that are dropped on top of the same background in ProPresenter. Much of what you see in the rest of this presentation was created in the very same way as these elements, including a map section at the end. You can see here I've added an animation to a white box and then animated that map graphic onto the screen after that transition. Here towards the end of the event, I once again took one longer video and cut it up into multiple sections that could be played through to match the points of the presentation. Since we had a guest speaker with PowerPoint notes, we imported his presentation into ProPresenter so we wouldn't have to change programs. In our video studio in our office, we also used ProPresenter to run video intros, outros, and lower thirds, reducing the amount of post-production that's required after each recording and speeding up our workflow dramatically. It's also worth mentioning here that ProPresenter can be set up to send different looks to different screens. So you can see here in this instance, you could send just lyrics to one screen, a lower third lyrics with video to another, and announcement slides to a third. And at the same time, you could show the presenter's notes or worship lyrics, or even a clock to another screen as a confidence monitor. This setup is completely flexible so it can accommodate many different scenarios and even supports blending multiple projectors into one large screen. Altogether, I hope you can see that ProPresenter allows us to integrate many different media items together so that we can create seamless and visually interesting presentations. And hopefully this will give you some ideas on how you can use this software or even another software to achieve some of the results that weren't possible to you beforehand. Fortunately, there's a free 1-month demo of ProPresenter that's available for you to try out. You can get a copy by going to renewedvision.com, and I'll add that link in the description. There's also a comprehensive video that goes into each of these features in ProPresenter in detail, such as running lyrics for worship, using different themes, and integrating Bible verses. And I'll include a link to this video as well in the description. If you have specific questions about how I got particular things to work, please reach out to me at kyle@mediaalliance.cc or leave a comment on this video. On our YouTube channel, we have a weekly devotional for media leaders. We also record instructional videos like this one from time to time. So we'd appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to updates. Thanks for watching.